my friend of mine, name's Graham Scott. He is building an ultra match, and I wanted to show him a few things that are just kind of hard to explain with the ultra match and how a Carteo version of the ultra match is built. Two of the main things that people have a hard time understanding is one, recoil spring. What is with this recoil spring thing? Okay, this thing's got a recoil spring. What do you mean it has a recoil spring? Meaning, the barrel's secured like this. The plunger tube is actually spring-loaded. When the plunger fires impacts, it actually pushes the barrel a little forward. And what this does is it makes it so that there's a cushion of air when you fire it that keeps the plunger head from breaking and keeps the AR assembly from breaking. And what that does is it makes it so you never have to worry about breaking a plunger head or breaking a plunger tube assembly ever again. And you need to do that too, because wait till you see how much spring load's in here. This is the Golden Gun Firestrike. It is actually Firestrike number 13, which is derived off of Firestrike number 9, number 5, and most importantly, number 1. If anybody remembers how number 1, the fate of number 1, if anybody remembers the very first ultra match ever built, 1 and 2 were built together, okay? But 1 had this kind of like special sight on it that was built off a Hornet, if anybody remembers. Well, I was out that side one day, and my plunger tube was kind of dry. I didn't fire it for a little while. And I asked my neighbor if he had any silicone spray, so sprayed some silicone spray in there. Little did I know it had acetone in it. It was a hot 102-degree day. I fired it, and when I fired it, flame shot out the front of it. The dart, I never found the dart. Okay, I never found the dart, and I caused a compression detonation. Remember, acetone has like a flash point of like 4 below. Meaning that you can very instantly flash off that acetone. And very soon after it caught, I started to see that this was starting to melt away. It had caught fire where the back of the plunger tube hit. I threw it on the ground, and we sprayed water on it. I was able to salvage the barrel and this but this whole side here was completely destroyed. This side looked like it was okay, and in a subsequent video, I actually got it firing again, but I never got it to the velocity I wanted. Why is that so important? Because the next one, the barrel was put into the 5th one, number 5, which then was made number 9. Number 9 was the original ZDS Firestrike. This is the original barrel from number 5. Number 9, excuse me. 5 was a standard, what's called a Ultramatch 1.1, a 1.0 barrel, where it's still fixed, the brass is hammer tapped into the barrel assembly, but it was after number 1 that I decided to up the yield to 18 kilograms, and that's when we started to see ranges into the 140, 150 flat ranges. Not all darts went that far. On this thing, I can get pretty much consistently 150, 160, no problem. Because I can get my velocities above 200 feet per second. Not an issue. So today, I want to take this apart. And number 2, a spring separator. What's a spring separator? / spring plate. What is it? How do you build it? I explained that it's what's called a metal hole plug, which is a pretty hard term. If you go to try to look up that at like Lowe's or Home Depot, you'll get like a million answers. And as a matter of fact, finding the part online is next to impossible. It's one of those things you got to go to a hardware store and just look up and just go, okay, it's in this drawer, metal hole plug, 7/8. Ah, okay, got it. And there it is. There you go. There's the assembly right there. Okay. Now, if you notice, pin, pin. Notice there's no pin here. Your pins are here loose. The whole plunger tube is moved up. No, this is not broken. This is actually the way it's supposed to be. Because what this does is this plunger moves all the way forward. And when it moves all the way forward, it has more draw. And because it has extended draw, it has more air. About 34 cc's or so. Extended draw, Night Finder is about 40. But this one has some advantages and Night Finder does not. So I used to have this removable, but then it would dance on me. So I had this locked down by locking springs. And you can see the recoil spring right here. This current one uses a sharp fire spring, but I've used a 5 kilogram retaliator spring for Orange Modworks. Yeah, a 5 kilogram retaliator spring for a blaster is not, for a part that's not even firing. I know, it sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But when you got something this serious, no. This is an Orange Modworks plunger rod assembly. But as you can see, it's reinforced and has a deck screw that is not just drilled in there, it is glued and laminated in here. And you have another number 10 screw that goes forward. So you have 2 screws in here that keep this from breaking. So let's take out the plunger tube right here. This is the plunger tube of an Ultramatch Firestrike. As you can see, the whole thing is spring-loaded. It's spring-loaded on there. See that? Yeah, I may actually go and file this a little bit while I have it out. But what it does is when it fires, the air pressure pushes it partially forward and it makes a cushion. Now I've kind of broken the inside of this one because this one's got such powerful yield. You won't believe how powerful this one is. But it's Nazi powerful. Okay? And that's it. So this is your front and rear AR assemblies right here. The 17/32 goes right through there, but you have a 9/16 sleeve that's around there. Now, I was telling Graham that this is too short. Yeah, you see what I mean? I only have like a 3/8 of an inch there because this used to be farther back on subsequent models. So yeah, it's a little too short, but it still fires really good for what I have. See the grease building up around there. Graham did something really cool. He filled that whole area so that was perfectly flat, which is probably going to be better. As you can see, mine actually broke on the inside. I'm going to put a dart stop in there with my next mod. So this is the next part of mystery. What's a recoiling Ultramatch Firestrike barrel assembly? That's it. The whole thing fits in the shell, and it's basically just held in by friction, side to side, and it's held in entirely by the front barrel retainer. That's the front barrel retainer. This yellow piece I'm holding in my hand. Front barrel retainer. As you can see, you can knock this down. Makes it a little easier to do, but it holds on to this lug right here and this one right here to center it. You don't want to lose this one and this one. You want something to hold that barrel in, and it makes it so you have a spring housing and you can move. Then you can push the whole thing. So that's the barrel right there. That thing is about 3 years old. I've had this for a long time. Now let's take apart the plunger rod. Now put in mind, it is Orange Modworks, but still the same principles apply if you use a normal plunger rod. But do put in mind, a normal plunger rod is soft like Barbie doll. You will not be able to get anywhere near this kind of yield in here. That is a rifle Apollo spring on the outside of that. And on the inside is an 8 kilograms Black Tactical version 2 retaliator spring. So the thing's got a lot of power. This blaster's been clocked all the way up to 215 feet per second. The spring is a C882 Century spring that's cut in half. And this is way, way more than your stock spring. You have to have a stronger plunger rod spring, or it simply won't fire right. So spring retainer. What is that piece right there? Basically, it's a hole cap that you buy from Home Depot. It's basically made as a metal chair cap. So let's say you have a chair that has a pull on it, and you see those, you go to school and you see these little like gaskets that go on there that you can pop off, and they have these little prongs sticking out. Well, that's basically what this is, except that I cut a channel to fit the plunger rod into there, and on the outside it anchors the outer spring, and on the inside it actually anchors the inner ring by friction. This makes it so the two springs never collide. And by doing that, you have much more powerful. You have a much more powerful blaster. You have better draw. You have better everything. Okay, I'm taking this apart right now because it needs more Teflon around the O-rings. So that was one reason. But as you can see, even like a modded part, I mean, even then, look at all the fiber tape that is reinforcing this. So how was this made and modified? Because it was obviously, first off, you have deck screw. Yeah, I know it looks really not all that concentric, but inside it is. I don't know why it ended up out of the line, but you have number 10 Torx goes all the way past this rod here and here. Inside of it, it's all super glue. And what that does is it keeps this rod from breaking. On a lot of your Orange ModWorks, people that really push these, there were a lot of ones that broke on the inside. I actually bought one from a friend. I actually traded him a kit that got lost in the mail because he gave me the wrong address, and we've been trying to find it ever since, and we haven't been able to because postal people are so nice. And his had a break right there, and everybody's has a break right there. And the reason is because this material is not really good for plunger rods, number one. And number two, it had a diamond pattern on the inside of here, and on the very crest of the diamond is where this rod is. So it's like a weak point, and they put the weak point right where the catch is. But as you can see, if you can see it, it's got a much deeper catch. I completely did that by hand, milled it, everything. It's a very solid piece. Toward the back, to make sure the handle doesn't break, it's got a deck screw laminated to the glue to about this point right here. So on both sides of this rod, you have threaded rod going front and back. It is heavier, but so are the springs. But it still fires outrageously nice. And as you can see, the handle is a draw handle where the two fingers just pull. Look at the catch, just your normal Firestrike catch. Nothing big, same old Firestrike catch. I have never broken a Firestrike catch in my life. Ever. I've never broken one. I mean, even with the massive yields I pull, never. You don't need another catch. The Delrin catch is plenty powerful. It's plenty nice. So that's a spring separator right there. Look at it, really nice, Graham. That's a spring separator. And as you can see, the outer spring is anchored by the tabs going out, and the inner spring is just anchored in there. He's got a single spring, which, as he claims, I'm not sure if it is, but from what he tells me, it's 3/4 inch rather than 7/8, and it's 2 millimeter. The yield I got from my calculator said it was about 44 foot-pounds. That's a lot of power. However, I've never made an ultra match, a true ultra match, that wasn't twin spring. Everything I do is twin spring. It's much more. I don't know what kind of results he gets. My guess is slower because he won't have two springs. But if he does go slower, just get another plunger rod, go dual spring. I'll tell you how. Now, why don't I really modify Firestrikes anymore? Two reasons. One, my big hope was that this kit was going to come out and change everything. They made 100 and stopped making them. Number two, back in the day when I started making the Ultra Match Firestrike, Pink Crush and Star Shots did not exist. Pink Crush and Star Shots are way, way better. And let me show you why they're way better. And to demonstrate this, I've got myself a bird of prey built off a Star Shot. Unlike a Firestrike, where everything inside of it is square and has stress points everywhere. Okay? You can even see, if you look real carefully, you can see the paint where it's cracked right there where the gloss is from all the stress. And even though the plate helps part hold up, and yeah, that's all you need if you got a spring separator. You just need that plate to spread out the weight distribution. And these are flatly ground coils on these springs, so you don't have one contact point that just cracks in one place and spider cracks it all over you. Yes, a bird of prey is closed arch geometry. Not only the outside of it, but the inside of it. And this strong plastic that stops here, this strong plastic goes all the way up. That's your spring plate, right there. Right here is your spring plate. And right behind that's your catch. And right behind that is, this bends up right here, bends up right there, makes two closed arches. I have thrown yields as high as 40 kilograms for one of these. Right now it's got 29. At full compression it's 29. The springs themselves are 18 and 8 kilograms, which makes 26. But that calculation is not full. It's not full pullback, especially the Orange ModWorks spring, which is calculating for about a 3/4 pull all the way back. But this goes full pull all the way back. So the outer spring is 11. I did measuring where I have this going that the outer spring is 11 kilograms. But then again, an Orange ModWorks an Orange ModWorks long shot spring is always more powerful than advertised. The other reason why this is so good, and you can see it's arched everywhere. Even these points right here, you're meeting kind of a folded, kind of a Mm-hmm. Right there, it's like full coverage. Well, this pattern is very persistent on your HK submachine guns, where you have the sheet metal going through and you have the groove right there. And what it does is it adds a reinforcement. It does the same thing on a bird of prey. Do they break eventually? Yes, they're toys, they break, but you either replace it, reshell it, whatever. The other thing that's nice about this, and I got another one lying around that I'm making for a friend living in Singapore. That's your plunger rod. Now put in mind it's modified, it's lower action, it's carved right up here, it doesn't have your crust, but this is very tough material. It is high density polyethylene. It doesn't stick to glue, and it is very nice. So if you put like that screw into here, you make the whole thing floating. This is next to indestructible. And if you redo your rod so it sits a little lower, you redo your trap catches sit a little lower, and your forces are distributed here and into your screw, your number 10 screw that's in here, you never have a problem again. So ever since this came out and the Pink Crush came out, I played with the Firestrikes for a while, but started to see that the Pink Crush and the Starshot was holding up a lot better than the Firestrikes. And that's because the Firestrike plunger rod is as soft as a Barbie doll. It really is. So solutions like this became more sought after. Well, anyway, Graham, I hope this helps you. I'm going to edit this and put this online so you can see it. So, how fast is the Ultramatch Stage 3 with the FNJ?
There's the assembly right there. Okay? Now, if you notice, pin. Notice there's no pin here. The pins are here loose. The whole plunger tube is that. No, this is not broken. This is actually the way it's supposed to be.
Wow, look at that, guys. Just in case you can't see that sitting down, I picked it up. Yeah. It's got balls, man.
34 cc's.
The Nerf freaks!